I know why you're here. These are the most amazing things you didn't know about. Let's go. The Komodo dragon is the largest lizard in existence today. You could say a mini dinosaur that has retained its impressive size to this day. These dragons can grow up to 10 feet in length, large, voracious predators that can reach speeds of up to 12 miles per hour. It doesn't seem like much, only until you become prey, but it seemed to nature that size, strong jaws, and speed weren't enough for Komodo dragons, so it endowed them with venom. There are two glands in the lower jaw that secrete several toxic proteins. Not only do they seem to interfere with blood clotting, but they literally make the meat decompose, turning very quickly into disgusting mush. Just 3 days is enough to turn a huge chunk into, well, this is nasty.
Nastiness! Wow, this is nasty. This is absolutely repulsive.
Hey, no wonder every bite from a Komodo dragon risks complications. I hope you aren't eating. Fact number 1, starfish are predators. Fact number 2, different tapeworms and sea urchins are also sometimes predators. And finally, fact number 3, this kind of fish can be found on the Antarctic seafloor only once every 10 years. It's not a feast or a classmates reunion, it's just that a baby seal died, and none of the largest predators managed to eat it on the way down. So it's time for the smaller ones. And damn, that's real crazy. This kind of thing happens too rarely for anyone to want to miss their chance and get this much food. And it doesn't matter anymore that the seal has fur, and it's not so easy to eat it when you don't have sharp teeth. These guys can do it. Is that a bird? Is that a plane? Is it a giant tumbleweed that helps clear the area? The huge mine co-found, which looks like a detached dandelion head, consists of 150 bamboo sticks with special nozzles that capture the wind and allow the entire structure to move. For only $40, which is how much this thing costs, you can clear large areas of landmines. According to statistics, there are currently about 100 million of these mines on the earth ready to explode at any second. They kill or maim at least 10 people every day, so I have a lot of hope for the power of the giant dandelion. Imagine such a situation. You're about to move to another neighborhood, but you're reluctant to part with your house. But if it's an old Victorian mansion in San Francisco, you can just take it with you. The nearly 140-year-old house known as Englander House was literally lifted from its site and placed on a hydraulic cart. It traveled 7 blocks to its new location in a full 6 hours. The final price for the move was $400,000. Quite a sum, but come to think of it, there's a house that moved. Who said it would be cheap? Its owner had to negotiate with 15 city agencies to get permission to move the house. In the process, they saw trees, moved traffic signs, changed parking spaces. By the way, this used to happen all the time in San Francisco, and only in the last 50 years have residents calmed down a bit. Cats love boxes. I think if you have a cat, it's probably already sat in every box it could find, regardless of color or breed of animal. Black, striped, sphinx, lions. Yeah, so big cats also have a strange weakness for cardboard. Tigers, bobcats, leopards, cougars. Yes, they seem to be cougars. The lion doesn't seem to like being framed. The tigers had many questions. Other than that, it's just, hell, I can't comment. It's too cute. Just watch. You gotta appreciate the tenacity of the American river eel, who continued to fight for life even after being swallowed by a heron. Seriously, just look at them both. It looks like the eel punctured the heron's esophagus with its stout head, and the heron. Okay, now assess your equanimity from 0 to the heron, which continues to fly about its business, despite having a live eel dangling from its neck. I have no idea how this all ended, but in theory, both could have survived. I imagine the eel comes home and it's all, "How was your day, honey?" Don't ask. Astronauts are serious people. They're scientists who do the most important research, and in Russia they also necessarily urinate on the wheel of the bus that brings them to the launching pad. Women astronauts, of course, don't have to participate in this ritual, but they bring their urine in bottles so as not to break the tradition. Apparently this goes back to Yuri Gagarin, the first man to make a spaceflight. On that historic day, he also peed on the wheel of the bus, though he did it involuntarily. Who would have thought that it'd become a tradition? If Gagarin had known, he probably would have chosen something more solemn. If you've watched enough horror movies, the dolls probably give you, well, at the very least, a sense of unease. But there are dolls that some people are excited about, and others are terrified of. So reborn dolls are toy babies that are made to look as much like the real babies as possible. And I mean, they're very alike. They have absolutely human skin color, they have nails and hair, and such a toy weighs exactly like a real baby. Plus, it can bend in different angles. It takes an incredible amount of effort, time, and over $100 for materials to create a reborn doll. As a bonus, you get frightened family members and having to explain at the post office that it's not a real baby that you sold and are now sending to another city. But the amazing thing is, even with all this fringe appeal, psychiatrists say the reborn doll is a really useful thing. The toy, which costs from a few hundred to thousands of dollars, can help with the death of an infant or the sadness of having to move out of the house. Reborn dolls also help the elderly, people with dementia, and they can probably get rid of unwanted but very impressionable guests forever. To prepare for the colonization of Mars, we need to understand what life on the red planet will be like, and NASA scientists decided that one movie with Matt Damon wasn't enough. A team of 6 volunteers settled near a volcano in Hawaii, determined to set up a test colonization. They had the whole thing: the dome, the lack of fresh air and fresh food, no privacy, plus the condition to go outside only in a spacesuit. Even emails were sent with a 20-minute delay. That's the real horror. But the scientists made it through the years, so that when they came back from imaginary Mars, they could be real stars, and also to finally eat bananas. Meet Dr. Judith Levine, and he's a Time Lord. For those of you who don't know science fiction, alas, he doesn't have TARDIS.
Do you have a TARDIS?
No, I don't have a TARDIS, okay? Only Doctor Who has a TARDIS.
He doesn't have a sonic screwdriver either. But Dr. Levine, what's his title justly? In 1969, he helped the National Institute of Standards and Technology develop an atomic clock that tracks time more accurately than ever before. All telephones, the electric grid, the stock markets, it's all connected to this clock, everything in general. And every day, the doctor makes sure that the most important clock works as it should. So I'll be honest, I hate to lose. That's my flaw. But you know what? It would be especially frustrating losing to a chimpanzee. It seems that we are much smarter than our very distant relatives by the fact that while chimpanzees are waving sticks and making faces, mankind is admiring pictures of the surface of Mars. But all belief in the superiority of humans disappears when one looks at Ayamu. Like many of his fellows, Ayamu has an amazing visual memory. He can remember the exact position of 9 randomly placed digits on the screen in just 0.67 seconds. No other person could even come close to this result, no matter how hard they tried. You can try to keep up, but don't be surprised if you were beaten by a chimpanzee. Sometimes logic just fails. Think about it. Elephants have big ears, right? They need them for thermoregulation and stuff. But big ears mean great hearing, right? Yes, elephants do have great hearing, but they use their feet for it. But what's more, not only do they hear with their feet, they communicate with each other like this. It's a scientific fact. When African elephants stomp and trumpet in fear, when a predator approaches, their fellow elephants learn the news by the way the ground shakes. The fact is that the vocal accompaniment and stomping resonate in an ultra-low frequency. Humans barely perceive it, but elephants easily pick up on the vibrations underfoot. I can already imagine these conversations. Joni, couldn't you tap your feet like all normal elephants? I won't listen to your voice messages. Many have seen the archival footage of nuclear bombs exploding, but few know exactly what such explosions look like in reality, and it's for the best, believe me.
When the flash hit you, you could see the X-rays of your hands through your closed eyes.
According to the recollections of eyewitnesses who were at the test sites during the tests, it looks like an incredibly bright flash of light. People would cover their eyes with their hands and still see every bone in their palms, as if in an X-ray. The blast wave was so powerful, it knocked people off their feet, left them bruised and with broken limbs. The sight was so terrifying that many of the adult men cried, and none of them knew yet how harmful this show would prove to be, how it would affect their health and the health of their children. All in all, an experience that no one would want to have.
To say it was frightening is an understatement. I think it shocked us all into silence.
The first rule of Bison Fight Club is you do not talk about Bison Fight Club. The second rule of Bison Fight Club is you do not talk about Fight Club anywhere. The third rule is only due to a fight, and it's better not to stand in their way. And don't stand next to them either. Really, step aside. An average bison can weigh from 880 to 2,800 pounds. You certainly don't want such a hole falling on you. If you suddenly find yourself at a depth of several hundred miles and see these strange creatures, then they will probably be very surprised at how someone got that deep. Sea pens, or colonies of coral polyps, live at great depths, and we can understand them. The less water movement, the longer you live. Some species can climb as far as 6,500 feet from the surface. Even those sea pens look like plants. They can sort of pull themselves into the bottom, or they can move from place to place in search of food. And it's always a collective decision because a luxurious pen is a bunch of polyps at once. Stem polyps, leaf polyps, maybe there's also a neighbor polyp coming in for tea. But not all sea pens look like they can be used on a hat. Some of them look like Monday came too suddenly. Attention, you're about to see some unique footage that's hard to believe is real. Brace yourself. Put the cup and all sharp objects away. Take a deep breath now. It's a fast sloth. No, really. It's Quicksilver in the world of sloths. I've never seen these animals move like that. I mean, when sloths crawl from branch to branch, it looks like the last thing they want to do is get there. At the same time, sloths can reach speeds of up to 2.5 miles per hour in the water. By comparison, on land, it's 1.6 miles per hour. And that's only when they're threatened. You think nature got it all wrong? We'll see you later.